Welcome to Lesson 2.4 of your Dynamic Small Business Search course. In the previous lesson, we covered procurement information. Now we're going to cover past performance, which will let the government buyer know you have the experience with what you're selling. This is such a great chance to beat out your competition during market research phase of an opportunity, especially as a small business, since many people don't even fill this out, as we'll go through and look at. When the government looks at your profile and sees that you sell what they need, and then they see that you have proven experience, they're motivated to put you on a short list, which can often be just 3 firms that they reach out to on an opportunity. Let me go ahead and go over a few of the points that you see here, and then we'll pop into my profile in DSBS, and I'll review it with you to let you see some of what I filled out, and then how some others are filling it out as well. So the first thing I want to point out on the reference and performance history, which we'll see in a second at the bottom of your DSBS profile, is that you want to put in all your federal contracts that are relevant within the past 3 years. Generally, you want to keep it to within 3 years, and that's what they recommend, but you want to highlight what's important, not all of the stuff that's going on in the past 3 years. So a lot of you have many awards, which is great. You don't need that many. You just want the ones that are pointing out that you do the work you're trying to sell and that it shows multi-year history. So go ahead and make sure you're putting your federal contracts in. Really, that's all you need to pay attention to if you've got a good body of work. If you're a commercial business right now and you're coming into the federal space, then you've got good experience. Well, go ahead and put that in. That's totally okay. In this space, sometimes people think it must be federal business, but it doesn't. It only should be federal business if you've got good, relevant federal business. But if you've got good commercial contracts, then go ahead and put that in. When I started my last company, the first 2 customers we had, one was a really respected nonprofit, and another was a very large government prime. So both of those would have looked good in there, and I could put them in there, put some basic information, which I'll show you, and then a point of contact, being able to provide that. So go ahead and put commercial contracts in. So now my company right now, SV MacPack, is a new company, and so I don't have a lot of past performance, and I need to be creative, and I'm recommending that you consider that same thing. Look back as long as you've had the company you've been doing, and include however long you might have been doing 1099 activity with other folks as kind of a contractor under somebody else, or anything you've done on legitimate contracting. You're going to see in a minute, but I used my work with an organization called the HubZone Chamber of Commerce, which I started, and I did a ton of work with them. And so I looked at my DSBS profile and said, well, I'll just put some of that in there. And this past week, I actually got advice from some of the folks in the federal government who were looking at my capability statement, different course, right? But they were looking at it, giving me some feedback, and they said, I know you've been doing some podcasts and video stuff. Go ahead and put that in. And you mentioned that you've done it with Army or Energy or somebody. We're not thinking that's some big contract, but it shows that you've got experience working with federal agencies, and that was an eye-opener to me. So you'll see when I finish my DSBS profile in this course along with you, you'll see me be pretty creative in there. And the last thing I'll say is that 4th bullet says it's okay to be blank. It really is. If you just started your business, you don't really have anything even creative that you could put in. Just leave it blank. Don't worry about that, because you're going to get work, right? You're going to get some subcontract work with somebody else. You'll begin to put some experience in there. Your company currently is not prime procurement ready status, and that means if you don't have information you could put in to fill in a blank there for the past performance history, then you're not ready to win a contract from the federal government directly, but you certainly can do work with subcontracting. So leave it blank and we'll come back and fill it in. Let me go ahead and pop over to the DSBS profile for me. I'm going to minimize PowerPoint here. The last 4 bullets, I put them right here on the left-hand side, so we'll be able to track those. Those are from my slide. I'm back into the SBA profile. You should be familiar with this if you're tracking me. I'm going to scroll to the bottom here, and at the very bottom, we've got the performance history, right? Performance history and references is what it is. And in this area is where you want to put what you have. So right now you see that I put in the HubZone Chamber of Commerce. I put in a point of contact. I do want to mention, where did I do it? Bullet. Well, let me come down. So when you look at it, you have the name, And I'm going to come back to bullet 1 in a minute. But the name, you want that to be kind of descriptive. In my case, this was a good one to put in. I might actually take the HubZone Chamber of Commerce and put that one, based on what I'm telling you on bullet number 3, as the agency for contract. I might put that in there as HubZone Chamber for my update. And in the name, I can put in a Meet the Expert video series, right? That could be a good name. Or a Small Business Success Tips podcast. These are some of the projects I've done for the HubZone Chamber of Commerce. I put in the contract or agency name, which is bullet number 3 here, right? That one there matches over here what I'm saying, and you can begin to build that experience in there. The last one I want to mention, and I'm going to go through and review a whole bunch of others with you just so you can kind of see what's out there. The last one is contact information. I put in Jim White. He's the executive director of the HubZone Chamber of Commerce. He can talk to what we've done. He's a good reference. But what I would suggest to you is I did a video series with the Army, and Tommy Marks is the OSDBU in that OSDBU in the Army. So that's the director of the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization, and he was in that series, and so he could be a reference. It's okay to put his name or Jim White's in there. What I would recommend, though, is that you don't put in any that are competitive advantage. An example is if I do SharePoint work in the Army or the Air Force somewhere, in a particular group I know the IT director, and that's my point of contact or reference, then I don't want to put their name and number in here because somebody might get access to it, my competitor might get access to it, call them up and say, hey, just checking to see how your SharePoint stuff's going, you know. It's a competitive advantage. I don't want to put it in there, and there's nothing wrong with some competitive advantage. Instead, though, you can put in what I wrote in bullet number 4 over here, the contact information. Instead of Jim White, I might put in available immediately upon request. And so it's letting that government person know that it's sensitive information, but it is available if they ask for it. Most of them won't actually call any of the people that are here because they're doing market research, and really they're just trying to look down and see if you have experience. So let me go ahead and open up a new DSBS search. So let's say I'm in Virginia, right? So I'm going to come down here. I'm in a couple of states, but I'm in Virginia, and I want to look for HubZone companies. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. I want to find other HubZone companies that do SharePoint like I do. Let me go ahead and delete this actually. So let me scroll up a little fast because I did a little fast. I selected a state. I just want to show you some examples. But I'm coming down here, and I said, let me see HubZone companies. That's right here. So I just choose required. And I'm going to scroll down a little further, and I typed in a keyword right here, and I said SharePoint. And then the last thing I said was I just wanted to show a lot. So let me shrink this to like 50 companies so you can see what we see. And I'm going to go ahead and search on this criteria. So on this criteria, I just searched, and there's 30 in Virginia that are HubZone certified companies that say they do SharePoint. And what that means is that they have it in their words. And so as I scroll down, one of the things I want to do is just find a few that look good. So I'm going to open a few in another tab. And excuse me as I go quiet, I see the word SharePoint there. So let's go find this company. Open that in a new, oh, darn. Let me back up there. Which one was that? Well, there's my company. The problem sometimes when it changes, it actually resorts inside of DSBS. But let me click on that guy. I'm just going to open some random ones. Progressive and let's say competitive, whatever they are. I have no idea who these folks are, right? You already saw my profile. But so let's look at this first one, Defensor Dynamics. And this is all public information sitting out there. So actually, this is a member of the chamber. And so hopefully I'll find this information. I'll be able to get back out to them and give them some tips. Actually, I'm going to reach out to them really quick because it has an e-commerce website, but it doesn't have a website. I think that was just a little miss that I can help them with. So I'm going to come down here to their past performance. Okay, so they have no past performance. They're like me. But actually, I know these guys, and I think they do have past performance. And so I'd want to reach out to them and say and find out. But let's look at the next company, SD Solutions, and see how theirs looks. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. Okay, so past performance, we're in the performance history. So let's take a look at some of their stuff and see what we got. First off, this looks good because they got a it looks like a $3 million contract. So if I was working with this company and I was doing a quick analysis for them of their profile, I would tell them that they got a period instead of a comma, and did they mean that? And you don't want to confuse the government ever. So what does that mean? So let's go ahead and see. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can see a bit more. One of the things I said when I looked at it is you want to sort these by date, the start date. And I noticed that there's another one down here called the FSMA one, which is starting 2 years after this guy. And so these past performance references can be sorted within your DSBS profile by just saying number 1, number 5, number 6, and it easily tells the system how to sort these, so which one shows up first. I always recommend sort by start date. The only exception is if you're a company that has a lot of activity and you have a couple that you'd really like to highlight at the top. For example, you might want to highlight that you've got DoD experience and civilian experience, civilian agency experience, with some couple of key, like maybe your top 4 show that, even though they're kind of out of order a little bit, but they're within the last 3 years. That'll highlight quickly to the government buyer that, hey, this company's experienced not just with some small contracts, but really across a lot of us. This one is Progressive Data Systems. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here to the past performance. Okay, so they have none. And let me just check. They might not have any experience. That's no big deal. But I'm going to check to see if they do by entering in their DUNS number into FPDS. So I just put their DUNS number into FPDS. They're called Progressive. And look at this. That's probably hard to see. If you look right here, these guys have got 160, 170 different past performances. They've got it in DoD and Interior. They've got a lot of good stuff they could be putting there. Now, let me check one last thing, and I hope it's not that way, but I just sorted it by date to see what did they win last. So it looks like they haven't really won anything recently, and maybe that's why they haven't put stuff in there. 2016, there's a lot of zeros. No, there's some big contracts here in 2016, so these should be in there. These should definitely be in their profile so that it can be seen. And that's down here. You see it's blank. They're not communicating that they have the experience. Let me look at the last one here. This is competitive innovation. Again, I just randomly picked these companies. Actually, before we even go far, let's just copy their DUNS. Before I go down to the bottom, let's see what we see. Okay, these guys as well look to have, they have like 300 contracts in there, 300 awards, and date signed. I'm clicking it, so date signed is descending. Look at that. August, they just won a $2 million deal. So let's go back to their profile, scroll down to the bottom like we did with everybody else, and look at, here we go. We got their past performance. So they have some of these guys, but look at this, 2020 and then 2000. Oh, they put in their GSA schedule. This is interesting. IT-70. This does not belong here. They also put in another one. So these, let me scroll up to the top really quick. What they put in was these two schedules. So this is 31, right? And 35. So I'm assuming those are their two schedules that they have down here. 35 and looks like this is 10, so they don't have that up above. And these do not belong in here, so they need to come in and take these guys out. But then this one looks good. It'd be great if they sat there and said what the value is. I'm assuming it's an IDIQ of some sort. It looks like they're not really putting values in, which is unfortunate, but they've got pretty relevant experience. This State Department one, you might as well get rid of. It's so far, it doesn't even count. This Homeland Security one, its borderline doesn't count. You might leave it on the bottom. It'd be really helpful if you saw what the value is. That's the important one there for putting it in. But they do have some good stuff here. which is great. The thing I would like to see them put in, oh, right here, you see this is Homeland Security, so they can get rid of this other one. They already are showing they got Homeland Security experience, so you don't need to show it twice if it's that old. But I know they won a lot more contracts, and so I'd like to see them put that in. Anyways, so that was walking you through. I walked you through the primary part. Let me pause for a second. And I want to pull this back up, right? Okay, so I flipped back over to the slide just really quick so we could see it. I did a lot of demoing in there. I hope you find that useful. But what I'm showing you is the references. Keep in mind, right, that you want to make sure they're federal contracts, but you can definitely put in stuff that's not only federal. And then if you need to, get creative like me, and blanks are okay. The last one is what I just walked you through on a lot of that demo activity. So that one's really important, and that concludes lesson 2.4 on past performance and experience. As soon as the video stops, go ahead and update the DSBS checklist with your experience before moving on to the next lesson. Let's get this information captured while it's fresh in your head. Perhaps maybe you need to shoot an email out to a colleague to ask them for this information as well, or even go check yourself out on the fpds.gov site to learn about what was awarded to your company if you don't actually know that off the top of your head. All right, go ahead and update your checklist, and I'll see you in the next lesson.